All righty. Come on. Welcome into the Rant, folks. Me, Pugs Moran. This, the Kelly Moore Memorial Studio here, the E-Gallery. Where? In Dallas's Design District. It, the Rant. What? A thing. I don't know. I'm not going to do this all day. I'm trying to edit myself. Hi, everybody. Pugs Moran. Welcome to the Rant, talk radio for normal people. That's right, normal people. What is normal people? Basically, it's just my way of saying this is a show for people who don't see everything through a partisan political lens, okay? I don't care about your red hat. I don't care about your plans to go torch a Tesla dealership. If you're 15% of the weirdos on the right, you're lost. I don't want you listening to this. If you're 15% of the weirdos on the left, you're lost. I don't want this show is for the 70% in the middle, the 70% of us that can do business together. I say talk radio for normal people. Those are the normal people. So what do we do here? Well, it's a stream of consciousness by yours truly. We've got a chat room. Come one, come all. Join the chat. I don't see where's the chat room at today? Where's my chat people? Hold on, let me say hi to the chat. Hi, chatters. This is usually when people start chiming in. All right, whatever. We got a chat room. It's a stream of consciousness. It's just me and my next thought on the day's hot topics, current events, trends, pop culture, whatever it is that's happening today. We don't do politics. Look, I'm an outrage queen. Right? Like I'll get outraged. I'll start screaming about stuff, but I try to make it, stupid stuff like Dollar Tree prices going up. That's the kind of shit that pisses me off. Hi, Taronda. As I say, stream of consciousness. So what is that? That's just me with my next thought. There's no governor, no filter. We don't take breaks. We don't play songs. We don't do live reads. We don't stop for an interview with, so-and-so. We don't do that. Just me, you, and all the things that are happening today. I do this show as a stream of consciousness, but because of this, I need to break the show down into a couple of different segments. And that's just so I don't get lost in the weeds. The first thing that we do here is something that I call antecedently on this day. It's a fancy way of saying this day in history, or previously on the 30th of May. That's what today is. Previously on May the 30th. That's quarter one. Quarter two is birthdays. These are just celebrities and historical figures having a birthday. Quarter three is deads. We talk about people who died on this day. Again, celebrities, historical figures, that kind of thing. They died on this day, but here's the twist. We decide where did they go, heaven or hell. Yeah. Deads. That's quarter three. Quarter four is hot topics, current events, all the things people are talking about, my life, what we're doing this weekend. What are you getting into this weekend? It's just talk. It's friendly, classic American talk radio for normal people, not the way it's weird now. And I'm telling you, just give you a small example of how weird talk radio is now. I've been doing talk radio in America, major markets, Chicago and Dallas, since 1992. Okay. I got friends doing talk radio now. They wear sport coats on the air. They're doing talk radio in sport jackets. The fuck? Talk radio was always where we, the anti-establishment, the people who spoke for the regular guy, the dudes who didn't put a shirt and tie on every fucking day to go to work to carry water for the man. That's who talk radio used to be for, but not anymore. Now it's just a bunch of 23-year-olds wearing fucking suits to do radio. I hate it. I'm an old man. I know, I get it. Hey, guys, are you checking out my Diddy coverage? Diddy or Didn't He right here on RadioMisfits.com. Radio Misfits for all your podcast needs. Diddy or Didn't He is my daily breakdown of all the things that are occurring in the Diddy trial happening in New York City. We're going into day 12. Day 13? I'm not sure. Hi, Mike. Yeah, I don't know where the chat room is today. I'm sorry. We're doing this thing again. Did the show not get scheduled? I mean, I did the same thing that I do every day for 3 years. 4 years. Excuse me. Been doing this show every day for 4 years, this kind of talk radio. And for some reason, the last couple of weeks, the show isn't scheduling. But oh well, I'm going to do it anyway. Because I'm borderline nuts. I'm just going to keep going. I saw something today. I had a weird thought. You ever just have weird thoughts in like even your own self after you think it, you go, what the fuck, man? I mean, I had a weird thought like that. Like, I didn't know where it came from. Just today, I was driving here in beautiful downtown Dallas, coming to our studios here, the Kelly Moore Studios and the E-Gallery. As I'm coming through and into the design district, I crossed through one of the cooler, more touristy parts of Dallas, which would be the old West End. The old West End where it connects to Victory Plaza, the big Dirk statue and the American Airlines Arena and the House of Blues and all of that stuff. So I come through there. So I'm coming down Lamar Street here in beautiful Dallas, just a block or so away from our fabulous studios here. So I'm coming down Lamar Street and I look over and I see this girl, young girl, probably 22, 23. I don't know, in that age group. Too young for me for sure. She's standing there in front of the House of Blues with what, I don't know, I just put all the pieces together in the blink of an eye. Her mom and grandma. Let's just say it's her mom and grandma. And it looks like dad is taking a picture. So it's like mom, grandma, their trip to Dallas, summer of 2025, the House of Blues. And they take the picture. And I'm driving by and I'm sitting at the stoplight right there. And I'm watching this go down. And you know what my thought was? My thought was, oh, she looks like a girl that's gonna go missing. Gonna go missing. Not one that's missing now, but I'm sitting there and I'm looking at him take this picture. And the very first thought that came into my head was, that's the picture Nancy Grace is going to use when she goes on her van trip with her boyfriend and never comes back. Why did I have that thought? I mean, she didn't look exactly like Gabby Petito, but she had that energy. She was just a rando girl on a corner taking a picture with her mom and grandma in front of the Dallas House of Blues, and I have her missing in 6 months. That's me. It's a weird thought. Can't control these weird things that just pop into her head. I did. I swear to God, I looked at her. My very first thought was, oh, missing girl. Maybe I'm psychic. What if she goes missing? Let's find that girl. Let's find that girl, that Gabby Petito-looking clone walking around downtown Dallas today. Jeff Ballard's here. He says he didn't get a 30-minute notice today. That's weird because I scheduled the show like 3 hours ago. So Freddie, DJ Freddie is hanging out. Now this is the kind of pop-in that makes my day here in the beautiful Rant chat room at the Kelly Moore Memorial Studios. That man right there, ladies and gentlemen, that's one of the finest individuals walking the earth. I don't know a person that says a bad thing about Freddie. DJ Freddie. What a wonderful person to see pop up, Freddie. All right, there he is. Oh, thank you. Look at that iconic voice. Many radio memories. Oh, you don't have to kiss my ass, Freddie. I ought to be kissing yours. All right, let's see here. Let's keep going. Let's get into the show. What do you say? Let's get started. That's enough of my crazy, dark thoughts about, predicting missing girls. What a terrible skill to have. What if that was like the only thing I was good at? Like I could just look at strangers and go, she's going to go missing in 6 months. I mean, I guess it's better than where I am now, existing with zero skills. So maybe I could commoditize that in some way. Let's get started. Welcome to the Rant, folks. I am Pugs Moran. These are the Kelly Moore Memorial Studios in the E-Gallery in Dallas's fabulous design district. It's the Rant, talk radio for normal people. 30th day of May, year of our Lord, 2025. Did you know that today, May 30th, it was the 150th day of the year? That's right. If you've got an old-timey calendar, you have torn 150 days off your calendar. That means there are only 215 left. So as we like to say around here, get those New Year's Eve plans started. All right, let's do antecedently on this day. This is where we take a look back at things that have occurred already on this day, how they make us, remember this day, that kind of thing. Antecedently on this day, or this day in history. Here we go. Got to be honest, I'm not going to lie to you. Some days I give you really big, jam-packed this day in history segments. This is a bad one. Today's a lame day. I'm sorry. There's no like pharaohs getting killed. Like nothing happened in medieval times that we still talk about. Nah, we'll start here. Let's run through these. On this day, antecedently, 1911, at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway, the very first Indy 500. See, that we're setting the bar with that. That's like, I mean, cool. Have you ever been to the Indy 500? That's a thing. That's a scene. I've been to the Indy 500 a couple times. That is fun. It is the only thing that is a reason to go to Indiana. No, wait. That is unfair of me to say because there is a massive swath of northern Indiana that is, just the Chicago suburbs. So they're normal. That's no Indiana Beach, the part of Indiana that's around Lake Michigan. Very cool. But there are very few reasons to go to Indianapolis. Okay, so maybe you go to a Colts game if your team is playing there. Other than that, why? Why are you going? What else you got? You got the combine. They do the combine there every year. So maybe, no, that ain't a reason to go to Indiana. The combine? Are you kidding me? The college football combine? No. The 500. The 500 is the reason to go to Indianapolis. And I'm telling you, it is incredibly cool. That is that entire city just turns into, well, you get it. All right, there you have it. On this day in 1911, the very first Indianapolis 500. On this day in 1989, Tiananmen Square protests. Let's see. This is the day they put up a 10-meter high statue of the goddess of democracy. And, we do this segment with the history, on this day a lot. And I've pointed this out. There have been any time in China's modern history that there has been any form of civil unrest. The civil unrest has traditionally taken place in Tiananmen Square. So when we think of Tiananmen Square, we think of the dude standing down the tank, right? Well, that was from the 1989 Tiananmen Square protests, and that's the one we're talking about. So here you go. Not to be confused with the 1978 Tiananmen Square protests or the 1967 Tiananmen Square protests or the 1958 Tiananmen Square protests or the 1939 Tiananmen Square. You get my point. But it was the big one that we know on this day in 1989. It's when it really started to flare up. On this day in 2020, the crew of the Dragon, that's one of these SpaceX things, they launched out at Kennedy Space Center, becoming the first crewed orbital spacecraft to launch from the United States since 2011. I mean, this was a big moment for me. I don't think that you non-space nerds, I'm a space nerd, July 20th, 1969, the day I was born, don't really have much of a choice. I'm a space nerd. Oh, that's it for you non-space nerds. That's the day we landed on the moon. I'm a moon baby. But this was a big deal. This was a big deal when we finally got our rockets back. I mean, do you know how humiliating it is for an American space nerd to have existed between like 2011 and 2020? 9 years of American space where we didn't have a rocket. We were bumming rides for 9 years with Russians, with the French, with the Indians. We were bumming. The United States, NASA, we didn't have a car. We were carless. Think of it that way. We didn't have a car for like 9 years. For 9 years, our friends were driving us around. Humiliating. So on this day in 2011, when we finally acquiesced and we gave these, well, privateers, if you will, the Elon Musks and, private corporations, we started giving them the tax dollars instead of NASA. It was a big thing. It was like, okay, all right. So the problem is that people don't want to give NASA money anymore. So look at that. We didn't give NASA money anymore. And everybody went, I'm voting for the congressman who took all the money from NASA. And then those some people just gave it all to SpaceX. And you people didn't notice. You people were just like, but NASA isn't a sinkhole anymore. No, but fucking SpaceX is. Because yes, this was a big deal in 2011. I'm starting to get really tired of these mission failures. They have had 3 major mission failures in a row now for SpaceX with this fucking heavy rocket. If you can't get the heavy rocket to work, we're sunk and we ain't going anywhere. And you know what? I remember the last time that this country was faced with insurmountable odds when it came to space and problems that seemed unfixable. You know what happened? NASA put a fucking man on the moon. All right? So we know that NASA, our government-run space agency, which I'm still a great believer in, we know that the exploration of space is way too fucking important to leave to privateers, okay? That's just how I feel. It needs to be left in the hands of a people, not of a person. But we won't get into that argument. So come on, Elon. We'll talk a little bit about Elon today because he's making big news. But, I'm hopeful. I am hopeful that he will get his shit together And at the very least, we will get a heavy fuel rocket that can get us out and then deliver people back safely. All right, that's it. That's my SpaceX rant. I love Elon's SpaceX work, but let's go. Let's go. You cannot have, Elon Musk cannot have the situation that he's been in the last 6 months without major changes, and major changes have occurred. I mean, let's look at what happened. His company, Tesla, is falling apart. The board is talking about firing him and bringing somebody else in. He's running this Doge thing, which seems to be a giant fucking dumpster fire, but I don't know. I don't have comments on that. And then he's got this fucking SpaceX thing where we're all like, well, at least he's going to move humanity into the next realm. No, because he can't even get the fucking rockets to work. So, okay, so let's focus on the rockets. Let's forget about the electric cars. The people that love you fucking hate electric cars anyway. What are you doing, man? The Elon Musk brigade are all a bunch of hillbillies driving F-350s. Rockets, Elon. Rockets. All right, it was on this day in 2020. On this day in 2024, my God, 1 year ago. Is this in 1 year ago? I don't know how I feel about this. I don't know if this is this feels right or this feels like it wasn't that long ago. Like, it feels like it was way longer. I don't know. It was on this day. Donald Trump is convicted of falsifying business records in his New York trial. This is the first time a former president and current president, let's not let that slide, has been found guilty in criminal cases. All right, there you have it. See what I mean? There's not like a whole lot of good stuff. That's it. That's all we've got as far as antecedently on this day. Let's hope that birthdays can pull us out of this rub. They can, because we got a good birthday list. Bonum, bonum, bonum. They claim it's their birthday. Born on this day in 1908, the great Mel Blanc. Who's Mel Blanc? Ah, yes. Mel Blanc. He did all the Warner Brothers. He was the Hank Azaria of the 1950s. You know, that's probably a pretty good. He was the who's the other guy? There's Hank Azaria. Okay, so there's like two guys that they do like 50 voices on The Simpsons, and it's Hank Azaria and I don't know why I know it's the guy who plays Nigel Tufnell. No, that's Christopher Guest. He plays Derek Smalls. The guy who plays Derek Smalls in Spinal Tap. Harry. Let's just go with Harry Reasoner, even though I know that's not right. Harry Shearer is who I'm looking for. Mel Blanc is the Harry Shearer of the 1950s. Let's do that. Happy birthday, Mel Blanc. Use Bugs Bunny. Bugs Bunny, it's all you need to know. There you go. We'll move on. And also Porky. Porky Pig. Born on this day in 1943. Born on this day, in 1908, Mel Blanc. Born on this day in 1943. This brings us to our next guy. One of my favorite people of all time ever. Met him when I was a little kid. My friend's dad was a car dealer. And he had this dude come out to his car dealership, you know, and because I was friends, you know, with the owner's dad, we got to sit in a room with this guy. Oh, sorry. Lost my camera there for a second. We got to sit in a room with this guy and, kind of changed me for life. And to this day, I am a Gale Sayers. It is Gale Sayers' birthday. All right, let me talk a little bit about Gale Sayers. Then we're going to watch some of these highlights of Gale Sayers, good old number 40. When you see me out in public and I'm wearing a Bears jersey, I'm wearing my Gale Sayers number 40. It's my favorite of all my Bears jerseys. And you know why? It's because it's the one that gets me the most respect from old heads. People will walk up to me and they'll be like, Sayers, that is badass. I'm like, yeah, it is. It's badass. Almost any list of the greatest running backs in the history of the NFL will have Gale Sayers at number 3. Any credible list. And those credible lists almost always have some combination of Jim Brown or Walter Payton at number 1. And then almost always it's Gale Sayers at number 3. Gale Sayers was a running back, excuse me, at a time when Jim Brown was the greatest running back that football had ever seen. And then along comes this kid out of Kansas, the Kansas Comet, called Gale, the Windy City Whippet. That was his other nickname. Comes out of Kansas, and he is the exact opposite kind of back from Jim Brown. Jim Brown, you couldn't tackle. That was Jim Brown's magic. You watch Jim Brown highlights, and you just watch people fall off him like water off a duck's back. Jim Brown, you couldn't tackle. Gale Sayers, you couldn't touch. You couldn't touch him. You got nowhere near him. He didn't break tackles. He didn't have to. You never came close to touching Gale Sayers. And the irony here is that's probably a good thing because it turns out his bones were really brittle. And he suffered a couple of knee injuries in consecutive seasons that ended his career after just 5 seasons. This guy played 5 years in the NFL, and he's still to this day on most credible people. And what do I say credible? Well, I say if you're making a list of the greatest running backs in NFL history and you weren't born before 1980, I ain't reading your list. If your list contains Curtis Martin, with all fairness, he was a great running back. But if your list contains Curtis Martin but doesn't have Earl Campbell, you're a victim of your age. Here's the other interesting thing about my guy here, Gale Sayers. We're just going to watch a couple of clips of him. But the other thing I want to mention about Gale Sayers is that he suffered a knee injury to his left knee in his 4th year in the league. He suffered a knee injury that by today's standards would have had him miss maybe 2 to 3 weeks. Because we didn't know anything about knees back then. He missed the entire year and then had this amazing, miraculous comeback, took the field, and then blew out his other knee and then had to go through the whole thing. And at that point, Gale Sayers said, you know what? We're done. Both of these injuries, by today's standards, he could have played 15 years. Gale Sayers might be the NFL's all-time leading rusher. There might not even ever have been a need for the Bears to have drafted Walter Payton if Gale Sayers' knees had held up. Because of his incredible and undeniable talent as a running back, he is the only player in the history of the NFL to not be forced to wait the Hall of Fame. He was brought into the Hall of Fame. He didn't wait the full 5 years or something. There's a rule now because of him, but they just went, well, he's 27. We got to put him in the Hall of Fame at 27. It's pretty controversial at the time, but it's pretty much a no-brainer. He's the youngest man ever. I mean, he's the youngest man ever in the NFL Hall of Fame, and it's because of these injuries. So let's watch him. Just watch a little bit of Gale Sayers. For those of you who don't know, indulge me, the old head. Remember, Jim Brown couldn't tackle him. Gale Sayers, you couldn't fucking touch.
Give me 18 inches of daylight. That's all I need.
And from the University of Kansas arrived running back Gale Eugene Sayers, the Kansas Comet. And his groundbreaking and game-breaking talent shined like a supernova.
Waiting for the ball, Gale Sayers on the 4-yard line. Watch him. He's got the moves, and he is off for that goal line. Coast to coast on 96-yard touchdown run.
Rams make the fatal mistake of booting the ball to Sayers on the ensuing kickoff. Now watch this. The Windy City Whippet rockets 97 yards to a touchdown and a lead the Bears never relinquished to the Rams.
Nobody touched him. Now, I know that's not all that rare for kick returners, but man, happy birthday, the great Gale Sayers. I'll also say this about Gale. He was the only player when the NFL made their 100 years, 100 players list team. I'm sorry, not 100. This was 75. This was the 75 team. The NFL made their 75-year anniversary team. Gale Sayers is the only player to start at 2 positions. 2 positions. Kickoff return and halfback. Yeah, he's a starting halfback in the first 75 years. All right, Gale Sayers, love that guy. He's dead now. He was really cool too, man. I remember being like 11, 12 years old, and he was just so nice and so attentive to us. Gale Sayers, born on this day in 1943. How about this one? Born on this day in 1951. I like to point out those That Guy actors that we love so much. The guys that, we don't know their names, but when we see them, we're like, oh, yeah, that guy. I like that actor. That's what a That Guy actor is. All right, let's do this one. Born on this day.
Sorry.
A little McDonald's commercial never hurt nobody. Born on this day, Stephen Tobolowsky. You may know him from everything. The dude's been in everything. He's one of those that guy actors that we recognize just, that guy. Of course, my favorite role he ever played was in Groundhog's Day. Bill Murray, Ivan Reitman, great film. He played Ned Ryerson. Here we go.
Phil? Hey, Phil? Phil Connors? Phil Connors, I thought that was you.
Hi, how you doing? Thanks for watching.
Hey. Now, don't you tell me you don't remember me, because I sure as heck fire remember you.
Not a chance.
Ned! Ryerson! Needle-nosed Ned the head. Come on, buddy. Case Western High. Ned Ryerson, I did the whistling belly button trick at the high school talent show. Bing! Ned Ryerson got the shingles real bad senior year, almost didn't graduate. Bing! Again! Ned Ryerson, I dated your sister Mary Pat a couple times till you told me not to anymore. Well?
Ned Ryerson?
Bing!
Bing! So did you turn pro with that belly button thing, Ned, or
No,
what?
Phil, I sell insurance.
What a shock.
Do you have life insurance? Because if you do, you could always use a little more. Am I right or am I right or am I right? Right.
Ned, I would love to stand here and talk with you, but I'm not going to. See.
Hey, that's all right. I'll walk with you. You know, whenever I see an opportunity now.
All right, that's fine. That is the great Stephen Tobolowsky celebrating a birthday today. Stephen Tobolowsky, certainly a that guy actor, born on this day in 1951. Born on this day in 1965, the drummer from my favorite band, Topper Headon. Happy birthday, Topper Headon. He's still alive. I'm surprised, but he is. Topper Headon, drummer for The Clash. He's still alive. Born on this day in 1968. Here's another that guy actor that we're going to celebrate here for a moment. I'm going to celebrate him because he's a that guy actor, but he's got a different category of that guy actor because of his misfortune with taking roles. Okay. All right, I'll just explain it to you. Here's who I'm talking about. Born on this day in the year 1958, Ted McGinley. Ted McGinley. Now, we all know Ted McGinley, right? Sitcom star. He's been doing movies and TV since the 1970s. I think he first, we don't need that. Those are my notes. He was doing, excuse me. Yeah, here we go. Here's Ted McGinley. All right, look at him. He was on Happy Days. He was like Marion's nephew or something. I don't know if you remember, they introduced him. Ted McGinley was on The Love Boat. He was on Fantasy Island. He was on a million different sitcoms that got canceled. So much so that JumpTheShark.com dubbed him the patron saint of jumping the shark, because Ted McGinley being added to any show was certainly an indicator that that show was going to be canceled very soon. Of course, he was also on Married with Children. Remember, he replaced Steve. He was Marcy's new boyfriend. He's a handsome man. Here, you want to see what a handsome... Okay, look at this. First of all, this dude's like 105, okay? He's like 80. This is him at 80. This is like the worst this man has ever looked. Look at that, son of a bitch. When do you see him in the 70s? Oh, in Revenge of the Nerds. Remember him in Revenge of the Nerds? He was like the big asshole. There he is. Look at that. Good Lord. Could you imagine? But then I'm looking at my friends in the chat room. You know who you are. We're all a bunch of fucking uglies. Could you imagine spending one weekend like this guy? Just give me 1 week and you know what? Fine. I won't be greedy. Give me one Friday night as this guy. Let me walk into a Hooters in Dayton, Ohio as this guy on a Friday night. Get in, lad. Let's go. All right, Ted McGinley. He's awesome. He really is awesome. I do like him. I like him a lot. You would think too, because he's been around forever, and I've been doing radio, and I've interviewed so many of these. Like, he seems like a gettable guest. You know what I mean? Like, it doesn't seem like it'd be hard to book Ted McGinley. Never met him. I'd love to meet him. I like him. He's got a new show that he's so good in, so funny. It's the Harrison Ford, Jason Segel show on Apple TV. about therapists. They're therapists or psychologists or something. I don't know. It's a good show. I watched the first season of it, and Ted McGinley plays the next door neighbor, and he's so funny. He is so awesome. He plays a character who looks like Ted McGinley. He's just a dude. He's like a businessman. He's got a wife who he loves. His wife is the chick from the Drew Carey show. Remember Drew Carey's hot friend that he never hooked up with, or maybe he did hook up with. I don't know. She plays Ted McGinley's wife in the show, and she's kind of a pistol. And Ted McGinley is always trying to manage his pistol wife, and he's unflappable. You can do whatever happens in front of Ted McGinley. He won't lose his cool. He's very funny. It's a great show. I don't know what it's called. Maybe somebody in the chat room knows what that show is called, but it's good. Anyway, it's on Apple TV. Ted McGinley, born on this day. Happy birthday, Ted McGinley. There he goes. Born on this day in 1964. How about a little Rage Dinga? How about some Rage Against the Machine love? Tom Morello. American singer, songwriter, guitar player. Born on this day in 1964. Born on this day in 1965. The head coach of my Chicago Bulls, Billy Donovan. I like Billy. Billy's my coach. I like Billy. Billy's like, people like, you need to get rid of him. And then you don't get rid of Billy. You keep Billy. You let Billy keep working. Billy's working on something. I like Billy Donovan. All right, born on this day in 1965. That's going to do it for birthdays. You Gen Xers, with the exception of Tom Morello and Billy Donovan, we contributed nothing on this day. Millennials, I didn't even mention any millennials. There are no millennials of note. All right, let's go. Let's do deads. Quarter 3. These are the people who've died. These are the people who've died. Shrinking. Thank you, Adam Reyna. Adam Reyna in the chat room helps me out with Shrinking. It's really good. It's a really funny show. It's not so funny that I was like, that I just devoured season 2. I haven't even watched season 2 yet, but I know it's there. And it's one of those shows like, I'm going to watch that because season 1 was good. Shrinking on Apple. Ted McGinley. It stars Harrison Ford, but if you go into it thinking it's Ted McGinley's show, you won't be disappointed because he's the funniest thing in it. Roger, I think is his name. Roger, the affable husband who does whatever the wife says. All right, let's keep going here. Let's do the deads. These are people who've died on this day. Again, not a great day for deads. Dead on this day in 1911, Milton Bradley. Yeah, the guy who made the games. Milton Bradley, where'd he go? Did he go to heaven or did he go to hell? I can't pretend to know a whole lot about Milton Bradley other than the fact that he created the game of life, Monopoly, all of these things. I know that, America. Here's the thing, all right? Here's the programming. This is what we assume. We're like, oh, Milton Bradley, board games. He brought all kinds of families together for some of the best moments of their life. See, I say that's the optimism there. That's the programming. That's what we think. Milton Bradley made board games for families. Families good. Milton Bradley heaven. But that's not really what board games do, is it? Think of it. Some of the biggest fucking fights you've had with your family have been on board game night. Board games don't necessarily bring us together. It brings us together so we can remember how much we fucking hate each other. I've had bigger fights. I once played recently, like within the last 5 years, I was playing a game of Monopoly with a group of adults, and a half-drunk, grown, older woman tipped over the entire game and stormed out like a baby. Like a baby. Yeah, but we'll put Milton Bradley in heaven. Milton Bradley's going to heaven. Sure, we've all had fights playing his games, but we'll put him in heaven. Dead on this day in 1911. Dead on this day in 2016. I'm only going to mention this, and I'm going to put him in heaven. Put him in heaven. Here's why I'm putting him in heaven. There was a brief period of time in my life when I was a hockey fanatic. I played organized hockey very briefly. I grew up on lakes. I had hockey skates. I played hockey. I loved hockey. The Blackhawks at the time were an interesting team. We're talking about the late 70s, early 80s. I was into hockey at 11, 12 years old. And it was mainly due to this guy, dead on this day in 2016, Tom Lysiak. Tom Lysiak, Polish-Canadian ice hockey player. Tom Lysiak played for the Chicago Blackhawks. He's also, I think, his jersey's retired with the Atlanta Flames or Thrashers or whatever. He played for them in the 70s before the Blackhawks. But he was a great Blackhawk player, and I had a Tom Lysiak stick. The stick that I played with was a Tom Lysiak stick. So Tom Lysiak, put him in heaven. I love that stick. I remember I had like 3 Lysiak sticks in a row, and they would break because you play pond hockey. Sticks break all the time. So I remember I was really upset when I couldn't find another Tom Lysiak stick. I was like, what? Why can't I have a Tom? I don't want, what happened to Tom Lysiak sticks? You want an Esposito stick? I don't want to play goalie. I want a Lysiak. Anyway, putting him in heaven. Tom Lysiak. All right, folks, that's going to do it. Hey, one more time, I want to remind you, this show, of course, it runs on your gratuities and your tips. So I like to remind you from time to time, like, follow, subscribe, do all that kind of stuff. Share the show. Should you see it come across your social media, share it. We want new people stopping in from time to time. But also tips. We like to ask for tips. Now, on Monday, we're going to start Pledge Week. Mondays, we're going to have a number that we need to reach. So I'm going to push hard on Monday. But that doesn't mean we still don't remind you that it's always a good time to show your support for this kind of talk radio. And to that end, we like to award the title of executive producer to the person who tips the most on the previous day's show. I would like to say thank you to today's executive producers, plural. Yeah, it's the same ones from the last couple of days. Kim and Tracy. Thank you, you guys. Appreciate you. Nobody else has tipped. That's okay. I'm going to choose. See, because our emotional state is entirely driven by small micro choices that we make. So recognize the choices when you're making them, like what I'm doing. So I am going to choose. Never mind. You know what? My therapy shit with you people. You don't want to hear it. You don't need it. I need it. That's why I do this. All right. Thank you so much to Kim and Tracy. If you would like to support the show, all you got to do, you can drop a little something in the Venmo or the Cash App. You can do that at any time. We sure would appreciate that around here. But as I point out, Monday is Pledge Week. So I'm going to be like an asshole. I'm going to be like one of these tin cup shaking jerk-offs. Please, for Jesus, for the children's. By the way, I'm salty today. You need to know that we're going to get into some topics here. I'm a little salty. I'm so pissed off at people. So bear with me, okay? There might be a whole bunch of situations here where I just start to rant. Shall we get started? Let's get started. All right, it is the rant. I am Pugs Moran. These are the Kelly Moore Studios, and these are the hot things we're all talking about today. Supreme Court. Let's get into a little mention of the Supreme Court because we've been touching on this first out of the box couple of days, the last couple of weeks, I should say. Supreme Court has rendered a decision. They have ruled that President Donald Trump can terminate the protected status of around 500,000 immigrants from Cuba, Haiti, Nicaragua, and Venezuela, pending the outcome of an appeal. Justice Ketanji Brown Jackson, in a dissent, said that the ruling undervalues the devastating consequences of allowing the government to precipitously upend the lives and livelihoods of nearly 500,000 non-citizens while their legal claims are pending. Trump has ordered the Department of Homeland Security to terminate all so-called categorical parole programs, which had granted those specific immigrants protections from deportation. Okay, that's a lot of stuff to process there, but I wanted to put it out there. You can maybe go back and listen to it again if you're not quite keeping up. But basically, there's a category of illegal immigrant who, for some reason, have been granted a special status that says they can't be deported. President Trump called bullshit on that. He said, that's bullshit. Deport them anyway. He started doing it. A bunch of other courts, lower courts, started to rule that Trump can't do that. So it matriculated its way all the way to the Supreme Court, where they've been hearing variations of this argument from all different sides the last week or so. So today they made their decision. They sided with the Trump administration. The Supreme Court of the United States sided with the Trump administration in saying that we don't have to pay attention to these protections given to these people by other administrations. And that's the key there. Other administrations. These were Biden era protections that were given to these specific class. Now, again, why? You're like, well, why would he protect these people? It's not just random. I mean, there was a thoughtful reason behind why these people were granted a special status. from, a compassionate point of view, you can see why these people fleeing specific situations were granted certain status. That's not how this administration does things. And it's not like we, when we voted, thought that this administration was big on nuance. We knew they weren't. We knew they weren't necessarily compassionate, thoughtful, or nuanced in their decisions. They are the bull in the china shop, and we voted for that. We did. I mean, I may not have, you may not have, but we collectively, as a representative democracy, we came together and we voted for that. So here we are. Okay, so Trump is like, yeah, fuck the Biden rules. Let's just throw these people out anyway. But they come from places where they'll be raped and tortured. I don't give a fuck. And there's a whole bunch of us who are lining up behind the I don't give a fuck. That's all it is. That's all it is. Process that and move forward. You're either a person who does give a fuck or you're someone who doesn't give a fuck. But just because you're on one side or the other doesn't mean that you're better or that we can't do business together. I mean, I wish people were kinder. I wish people were kinder and more thoughtful. But what fucking world am I living in? Am I living in the world that I want to have happen? Or am I living in the real world? I'm living in the real world where people are not kind. So if ifs and buts were wants and wishes, I don't know what that was. What did I just say? That is like the worst. He's looking for a way out of that. Anyway, the Supreme Court has said that Trump can deport these people, but apparently there's another process. Well, I don't pretend to be a lawyer. I'm doing the Diddy show, every night, radiomisfits.com, Diddy or didn't he, but I ain't no lawyer. All you got to do is listen to that to find that out. But I didn't know that there was another appeal process after the Supreme Court. I thought it stopped after the Supreme Court. Donald Trump can terminate the protected status of around 500,000 immigrants from Cuba, Haiti, Nicaragua, and Venezuela, pending the outcome of an appeal. An appeal to the Supreme Court? Are they appealing to the Supreme Court again? I don't know. This is bureaucracy. This is bullshit. This is one of the things that we have a big problem with, that there always seems to be another step. And there always seems to be another layer of fucking bureaucrat with their rubber stamp. Nope, this you gotta. Seriously, the Supreme Court ruled. Move on. No, there's another appeal. See there? You could say to me, you can say, hey, Pugs, move on? Really? Tell that to the kid who's about to be, or the kid whose parents is about to be thrown out. Yeah, I get it. It's complicated. Ugh. All right, but there you have it. That was the ruling by the Supreme Court today. Okay, this is a story I want to talk about. We're going to stretch out a little bit here. The next couple of stories we're going to stretch out a little bit on. These are stories that have been going around the last couple of days. Today, there's a new development in this story, this one that we're going to focus on first, that is just kind of mind-blowing. Are you guys following the story of the crypto businessman who was tortured in New York City for a week by people trying to get his crypto password? Holy shit. All right, so get this. Let me tell you this story. This happened in New York last week. So there's a dude from Italy. He's an Italian businessman. Apparently he's a crypto dude, and he's got like a whole bunch of money in crypto. So he was doing business with this American crypto dude in New York City. And the dude in New York City was like, hey, Italian guy, come to New York and we'll do crypto things together, or whatever. I don't know. I'm just trying to move this story along so that you have the context you need. So Italian businessman gets on his plane and he comes to New York and he gets picked up at the airport and he's provided security and he's feeling very legit. They take him to a fancy Soho townhouse, like a $15 million 5-story. I mean, the kind of place where, like, rock stars and movie moguls live in Soho in New York. So he's taken to this, fancy townhouse and he goes inside. So you got it? All right. So Italian businessman, crypto guy comes to do crypto business with a New York crypto guy. Crypto New York guy sends a limo and security, brings him over to this beautiful Soho mansion. Dude goes inside. Italian man's now inside. The Italian man is next seen a week later running down the street in front of the Soho townhouse, bloodied and in torn clothes. He finds a meter maid, the people who write tickets for, cars, traffic violations. He finds a meter maid and explains that he's been held captive and tortured for a week. All right, so now we know what happened. All right, so this Italian businessman was lured to New York by some New York crypto businessmen, and then the New York crypto businessmen held him hostage for a week in a fancy mansion and tortured him for his crypto password. Apparently, this guy had access to about $30 million in cryptocurrency, and all that was protecting it was his password. So these New York guys started to torture and beat and tried to get the number from him. Apparently, he finally did. After a week, on Friday morning of last week, he gave up the password. And while the two captives, the people who were taking him and beating him, while they were trying to put the password in, this dude ran out. And that's when he found the traffic cop or the meter maid on the street. All right, so everybody's arrested, right? Dude is recovering in the hospital. I don't know what happened with his crypto money, but here's the news today. News came out today. The breaking news on this story out of New York City today is that the people who picked him up from the airport, the Italian businessman was picked up from the airport by a security detail, a private security detail, and then taken, chauffeured to this place where these security men then waited outside. They were like the security for the operation or whatever it was. All right. It was revealed today that this private security, the people who were running the private security, were special officers of the New York Police Department who were assigned to the personal security detail of Mayor Eric Adams. Holy shit. You know what a scumbag Mayor Eric Adams is. I mean, also don't forget that Trump completely pardoned him and wiped away all of his shit. After Eric Adams said some nice things about Trump, Trump was like, let's make sure that Eric Adams doesn't go to prison. No, instead, he's completely pardoned, and he's the mayor of New York City, and he's got a security detail that are running crypto kidnapping schemes. What the fuck? You guys, this bullshit about you think you're cleaning the swamp. The swamp is bigger, swampier, and more unencumbered than it ever has been. Eric Adams, the mayor of New York City's personal detail, is running side hustles, kidnapping side hustles for crypto douchebags. You know Mayor Eric Adams was involved. He was absolutely involved. Fun fact, these dudes who did the shakedown, who did the torturing, they're worth $100 million. They're worth more than the Italian businessman that was tortured and beaten for his crypto password was only worth about $30 million. The guy that was beating him was worth $100 million. That dude that's worth $100 million, who is using the mayor of New York's personal security detail for this kidnapping job, you're telling me that dude doesn't know the mayor of New York City? Come on. What a fucked up story, man. I can't wait for the movie. This is going to be a movie. Are you kidding me? 1 week this dude was held and tortured. They did things like they held him over a banister 5 floors up and dangled him by his ankles. They connected a car battery to his nipples and gave him shocks. They micro stabbed him, like little fucking, what they said, with a protractor. You know, a protractor? They would just like stab him like 30 times with a protractor. Not enough to actually draw a bunch of blood, but enough to really fucking hurt. They made him smoke crack. They got him high on crack the whole time, hoping that that would get him to give up the password. All right, so the mayor of New York. So anyway, now we got the mayor of fucking New York, a guy whose slate was completely wiped clean by the president of the United States, is now, like 2 months after that, 2 months having a clean slate, he's now being implicated in this insane crypto kidnapping and torture scheme. All right, very good. Very good. Hi, April. April's in the chat room hanging out with us. Derek, Tracy Daniel. Thank you, Tracy, our executive producer. Tracy points out it's Derek. Ted McGinley. Ted McGinley plays Derek in the show Shrinking on Apple. He is very funny. She says, I love his character in Shrinking. Good show. It is a good show. It's a funny show. All right, let's see here. So we did the crypto thing. All right, do I really want to get into this next thing? Yeah, I do. All right, let me do a drink here. Let me take a drink. All right. So I almost did this story yesterday, and I didn't. If you remember the end of yesterday's show, I was kind of like, oh, should I? We had already done 2 hours, so I was like, we'll wrap it. So this was the story that is the reason that I ended the show yesterday, because I knew that I would spend like 20, 25 minutes on this story. I don't know if that's the case today because it's kind of been done to death, but I did want to mention it, and I did want to talk about it. So if you've been listening to this show for the past 4 years, you've heard me time and time again talk about how insane the marijuana laws are. The marijuana, the THC laws. You've heard me tell you that 99.9% of all of us here, we walk around in the state of Texas going, it's illegal to get high. Marijuana is illegal and you can't get high. And that is true and false. And I keep telling you that, yes, marijuana, straight up THC marijuana, is still illegal in Texas. In Texas, we have laws. We have like 1960s laws still. So yeah, unlike most of the other more forward-looking states in this country, there is a regulated and a thriving legal marijuana business. But no, not here in Texas, because we have freedom here. Never forget that. Freedom, Texas, freedom. I swear to God, the more time I spend here, the more I realize we have no freedoms here. So anyway, that's marijuana. But what a lot of people don't know is that THC is the thing that gets you fucking high. It's THC, okay? That's the chemical inside the marijuana plant that gets you high. THC exists in things other than marijuana. THC also exists in hemp. It does. And the hemp lobby for years and years had been pushing for some sort of national recognition of their industry. And then under Donald Trump, the 2018 Farm Bill, he signed the 2018 Federal Farm Bill that legalized hemp and hemp products. And this was important because hemp and hemp products had been illegal because of their relation to their shady cousin marijuana. Now, remember what I told you about THC, how THC is the thing that gets you high? Marijuana, the plant, is just the vehicle that we smoke to get to the THC. Well, THC also exists in hemp in a different form. It's called Delta 9, or I also think it's Delta 8. There's Delta 8, Delta 9, Delta 10, Delta 11, whatever. These are the different types of THC that get you high when you smoke marijuana. It also exists in hemp. So when Trump made hemp legal, and, you know, remember earlier I said he's kind of a bull in the china shop, dude. He's not really nuanced. Like, he doesn't do details well. When Trump legalized hemp, he just legalized hemp. There were no carve-outs for, the THC, which could be taken from hemp, which under this bill was completely legal. So the Farm Bill basically said that everything hemp-related is legal, even the byproducts. Even if a scientist wants to take some now legal hemp and take it into a lab and figure out a way to pull out the THC that everybody wants, he's pulling that THC, which when it's in marijuana is illegal, but this THC is in hemp, so it's legal. So that's what we have. We have this weird situation in the state of Texas where you can walk into a vape shop and you can buy, and there's vape shops everywhere. You know, you've seen it. You drive down any street in any town in America or Texas. Let's keep this to Texas. Drive down any street. There's a vape shop everywhere. Do you ever ask yourself, how are these vape shops staying in business? How are there so many? I mean, I don't know that many people who like vape pina colada nicotine. They're not staying in business. They're not thriving. The industry isn't thriving because of people who smoke hookahs, flavored nicotines like regular, the original vapors. No, these places are thriving because they are selling Delta 9 hemp vapes. Let's go back to what I explained. So what is a Delta 9 hemp vape? Okay. It's totally legal. It is a vape product, a disposable vape product that the user can take a puff on and get fucking high, get real high. Not like, in the beginning, like a couple of years ago, you'd show this to people and they'd be like, nah, dude, I only do real weed. I don't need your watered down weed. Like these people who thought they knew something. And then they'd take a puff of it and they'd go, this is the fucking best weed I've ever had. Yeah, it is. It's fucking great. Is it a bit of a loophole that you can buy this product legally in all 50 states under the Hemp Act? Is it a loophole that you can buy this fully legal product and get fucking high as hell on it? Is it a loophole when you can do those things in a country where not most, but in a state, I should say, in a state where getting high by smoking it through the vehicle of marijuana will still land you in jail for 20 years? The exact same thing that you can now do walking into any vape stop in America or in Texas. I keep saying America. Let's keep this focused on Texas because we're going to talk about our lieutenant governor. So I can walk into any store. It's totally legal. I can buy this thing. I can get high. Okay. So that's a loophole. And I've been talking about this for years. I'm like, I can't believe that I can legally go down the street. I can't believe that I live in Texas and I don't have a weed dealer. I lived here for like 20 years when it was legal. I had a weed dealer. I had a dude that I bought weed from. And I was a criminal. I was a gangster. But now I can just go to the local store. I can pay taxes in my community. I can have a product that I really know what it is because there's a fucking company with branding and ingredients and codes and all kinds of restrictions on it, as opposed to just buying some fucking skank weed in a Glad bag from some dude in an apartment. I mean, that's how it used to be. So it's really changed. And I have been shouting out for years now that it's a loophole. How is nobody saying anything about this? And I had just come to the expectation. The reason nobody's saying anything about this is because the demonization and the narrative that surrounded the legalization movement of the 1970s is dead. People don't believe that shit anymore. People don't believe that a couple of puffs. I've been purposely charging this. I don't know if you can see this. I've been purposely charging this because I haven't used it in a while. Let's see if it's working. Okay. All right, so here we go. Show you this. This is a legal hemp vape. Okay? It's a legal hemp vape. This is fucking pot in here. This is weed. Whatever you want to call it. The shit that you smoke when you're at the Grateful Dead concert or whatever. That's what's in here. This costs about $30. They say it'll last like someone who smokes regularly, maybe 2 weeks. Okay. $30, 2 weeks. First of all, that is so much cheaper than what weed used to be. It used to be, you could spend $120 a week on weed. I'll do a quarter a week. So anyway, so here it is. So I'm going to show you this. This is fully legal as of right now in the state of Texas. You can buy this at any store. Okay, so obviously that's just one little puff of it, okay? So I'm going to do the rest of this rant, and you're going to see how fucking dangerous that is. You're going to see how out of control I am. You're going to see at some point, according to our lieutenant governor, I'm going to walk in front of a fucking train because I just took a puff of that. So when I say that, although I questioned the loophole status and how long this loophole would remain open, I had been fairly comforted in the idea that the notions and narratives of the 1960s and 70s concerning what marijuana is, what THC is, I was convinced that that narrative was gone. I was convinced that there is nobody who still thinks, like, do you remember the old, like, anti-weed propaganda where they'd show, like, somebody, like, taking 2 puffs and then they run up to a roof and jump off? That's what's happening with marijuana these days. One puff and you think you can fly. It was absurd. It was absurd because so many people had actually taken that one puff and been like, I don't know, man. I took a puff and then, I ate an entire apple pie afterwards, but I didn't want to fly. No, I didn't. That wasn't. I wrote some really funny jokes. I took one puff and then I was like, hey, that's a funny idea. And I started writing some really funny stuff. Then I ate an apple pie. And then for some reason, I just watched the preview guide on cable for like 3 hours. It didn't make me want to fly. That narrative about what marijuana is, like there is no distinction, there is no difference between, LSD, angel dust, and marijuana. I thought that narrative was dead. And I felt fairly comfortable that maybe this is just one of those bureaucratic loopholes that everybody is looking at, but nobody's saying anything because nobody wants to sound like a fucking dork, like a fucking lying, and that's what our lieutenant governor, Dan Patrick, did. So let's fast forward. Let's bring this all into context of what the news story of the day is. Starting in September, these vapes, the gummies that we give away every week at trivia on Tuesdays, we give away a big old bag of gummies, a big like $100 bag. It's a big bag of gummies. Give away a big bag of gummies. It'll fuck you up. So starting on September 1st here in Texas, those things are all going to be illegal. My buddy who owns Sacred Oils is spending the next week closing his shop. So, there's going to be a lot of landlords who run strip malls who are suddenly going to be like, hey, I've got nothing but room now. All the vape shops have closed up. Now, you might be hearing all this, and you might go, well, Pugs, it's illegal. You people shouldn't be doing drugs. And when you say that kind of stuff, now I feel like I have to go back to the argument that was always waged back in the 80s and 70s when the stupid marijuana narrative was being pushed. And that is, well, then close the fucking liquor stores, motherfucker. We got to have that debate again? If we're going to demonize the vape shops for selling these things legally to responsible grown-ups. I get carded every time I go in there. I'm a 50-something-year-old man, and they card me every time. So close the fucking liquor stores. See, this is where the issue of freedom, and it's one of my big things, Texas freedom, and all that stuff. And I'm fucking very angry about it because I love Texas. I've decided to stay here for the rest of my life. My son is a Texan. I love my friends who are Texans. I ain't going anywhere. I'm going to be buried here in Texas. I love it here. But don't you people tell me that bullshit about how Texans demand their freedom. You are the most put upon people in this country right now. This band of outlaws, don't start with the fucking Republican versus Democrat versus whatever. Every politician in this fucking state is a garbage person. Both parties are completely fucked. And this party that here's the other thing too. People are like, yeah, I agree with that, Pugs. Both parties are equally fucked, but I, of course, vote straight Republican on everything. You don't get the right to tell me that you agree that both parties are fucked when one party gets your vote unquestioned every time. Motherfucking Abbott, motherfucking Patrick. These people are robbing you blind of not just the gold, which they are. They're involved in so much shady shit. They're robbing us of our liberty. They're robbing us of our choices for things. And it's small and it's incremental. And so maybe you don't give a fuck about Pornhub. I don't give a fuck about Pornhub, but there are people who do give a fuck about Pornhub. And in the state of Texas, you can't go to Pornhub. Women's right to choose or a girl's abortion, all that shit. I don't care about that. That doesn't affect me. I'm a man. I don't have a daughter. I'm good. but it does affect some people, and their fucking liberty has been taken. We are supposed to err in this country. Our bureaucrats, our government officials, they are supposed to err on the side of liberty, not err on the side of confinement, which is exactly what Dan Patrick, our lieutenant governor, did. So this has been a pet project of Dan Patrick to expose this loophole, get all of the vape shops shut down. Let's return everybody like me right now doing this. Let's return everybody like me to outlaw status so that I can be a fucking criminal again. Meanwhile, the fucking president of the United States is fucking signing commutations for Larry Hoover. But in Texas, I'm about to risk going to jail again. All right, so here's the deal. So Greg Abbott, he's put, I don't even want to include Greg Abbott on this because here is my hope. My hope is that Greg Abbott doesn't sign this bill. This bill is a pet project of Dan Patrick. It has passed every hurdle that it needed to pass here in the Texas State House. He's got this entire legislature fucking wired up. It's still waiting on the the governor's signature. My hope is that the blowback from this is such political cancer that Abbott decides, we're going to wait. We're going to study this more. Please do that, Governor Abbott. But I don't think he's going to. I think Abbott's just going to. I think Patrick's probably got some pictures of Abbott or something. So Abbott's just going to do whatever Patrick wants here. So let's watch this. This is the press conference. This is our lieutenant governor, Dan Patrick, with his big, giant, comically huge teeth. These people, seriously, they're these fucking people with money who are turning ugly, who are spending money to not look ugly anymore. They all just look like weird, ugly cousins. Have you ever seen people who have these teeth things like Dan Patrick has? Dan Patrick, he's got the big fucking teeth implants. They all look like horse faces. They're all like, bah! You ever seen these people who all go to the same fucking plastic surgeon and they all look like fucking plastic surgery cousins? Yeah, those people too. Bunch of strippers all over the state of Texas walking around with the same set of tits. Yeah, they're everywhere. Dan Patrick with his big dumb fucking teeth. All right, let's watch this. So Dan Patrick had a press conference with the assembled media. Here's a big one too. A lot of people have been talking about it here in Texas the last couple of days. I'm going to watch a little of this press conference. All right. All right. So here, let me show you this. So here he is, Dan Patrick. We'll fast forward to it. We're not going to watch the whole thing. It's a 30-minute press conference. He's got a table there. You know how they do when they bust dudes with like 50 tons of heroin or whatever, and they have the big table with all the heroin and the guns and all that stuff? Well, there's no guns involved here because all of this stuff was purchased legally. But he's got the table and he's got it all spread out. And Dan Patrick's now going to explain to us this stuff that he has seized that as of September will be illegal now in the state of Texas, okay? And again, I want you to pay particular close attention to the way he sees marijuana. And let me remind you of the narratives that we were, at least Gen X, we were exposed to in the 1970s. The bullshit, the nonsense that we all know is a lie. Marijuana is less harmful for you than wine and beer. Most people who have lived a normal life know this for a fact. They're like, what? I would say if I didn't really want to get too fucked up or anything, I just might smoke a joint and then, I chill out and relax. If I want to go a little bit harder, maybe I'll have a couple glasses of wine. I'll get the alcohol going. So that's what we know. But that's not the narrative that Dan Patrick is pushing. Let's listen to this. Let's watch.
This end of session briefing with beverages and snacks that Lieutenant Governor Dan Patrick served up Wednesday was a table full of THC hemp products. It also came with a lecture to the media.
Would you buy anything?
All right, you know what? This isn't what I wanted to share. I wanted to watch the entire press conference. This is just a news story about it. I don't care about that. Hold on, let me see. That's him. Hold on, give me a second here. Because there is one particular. Show me the full press conference. All right, here it is. All right, here's the full press conference. All right, let's watch this. And again, I'm not going to make you watch the full press conference, but I am going to stop it and comment on. Okay, here we go.
This is all sold. Even the senators haven't seen all of this. It's all sold for kids, designed for kids and adults.
All right, there you go. Lie number one. Lie number one. He is in front of the media. He is holding all of this stuff up, and he is telling you the first thing out of his mouth, this stuff is all sold for kids. That is absolutely not true. You have to be 21 years of age. I have been carded every store I've been into. This is not for kids. And he is holding up bags of gummies that look like they're flavored like candy or something like that. Okay, that doesn't fucking mean it's for kids. Well, but Pugs, it's obviously, it looks like, it's candy cane flavored. And look at this, obviously they're marketing to kids. It's being sold in a place where you have to be 21 years of age to enter. And then before you can purchase, you are carded. It is no different than a liquor store. And if you're saying that simply having cross branding with something that might have a relation to childhood, like Twinkies or something like that, it's for kids, it's Twinkie marijuana. Well, then you better have the same ire for Svedka vodka in their cross-branding with Jolly Rancher. You better have a problem with Jack Daniels and their Cinnabon fucking whiskey. You better have a problem with all of the whiskeys and the alcohols and the drinks that are made fruity and flavorful and like candy, and the jars look like a giant bag. Skittles vodka. I'm certain it's a thing. So fuck you, and fuck you, Dan Patrick. So right out of the box, he's lying. He's saying that he's lying by saying that it's for kids, and then he's misleading by making you think that they're obviously for kids without reminding all of us that alcohol does that too. Alcohol has fucking wine coolers. Starburst flavored wine coolers. Are they marketing to kids? Well, this is different because, you can't buy alcohol without being 21. You can't buy hemp products without being 21, fucker. Why aren't you saying that? Because that's what these people do. These people that you vote for time and time again, they only mislead so that they can get you on board with whatever their particular money-making agenda is. Somebody is paying this motherfucker a lot of money.
This little bag of jellies, mango peach, $90 for a bag.
Yeah, that's the bag that that's the size of the bag that we give away there at Trivia. Look at that, $90 prize. You think we got good stuff. All right, let's hear what he has to say about this.
Send you sky high. We have no idea. Some of these things are so mislabeled, and the police will talk about that in a moment. No one knows what's in any of this. This is why we passed Senate Bill 3.
All right, there you go. That's the second lie. That is the second fucking lie. Why? Because he gets up in a suit, in a position of authority, and he says things confidently. You, the stupid human, will be watching at home going, well, he's obviously knows what he's talking about because the man has a suit. And have you seen his teeth? He's fucking lying to you when he says they're mislabeled and we don't know what's in here. This is big fucking business. This shit is legal everywhere else. This isn't just about shit being made here for Texans, okay? This shit, every bag has a list of ingredients. Every bag has federal regulation stamps on the back of it. We know what this is. He is trying to make you think that this is something being whipped up in some fucker's garage. It's not. It is big fucking business with branding and marketing and all of that shit. He is being as duplicitous a politician in this moment as any of us have ever seen. And so many of you are going to vote for him for re-election.
This is why the House passed Senate Bill 3, to ban these products. Sour bells, slices. How about gummy worms? Gummy worms. This is what parents, you need to tell this story so that parents understand the 8,000 shops have been put in Texas in the last 3 years, many of them without permits, selling this to their kids to destroy their kids. And why would drug...
Okay, don't know anything about that. Many of them without permits. I do know a couple of people who run a couple of these shops. They're legitimate businessmen who have lawyers and accountants, and they have permits and shit's on the wall. So when this guy gets up there and he says, many without permits, I mean, I can't speak to that, but I will say this. Oh, well, that sounds like an illegal business operation. Don't we have an entire department here in the state of Texas that can just close those fuckers down? Why is your administration allowing people to operate businesses without the proper fucking paperwork? It's not an our problem. I mean, it's his problem. And I don't even know that there is any basis for him to make that statement. They're operating and, well, close them down if they're operating illegally.
Drug dealers seize Texas because they found a loophole in the hemp bill, which Charles Perry will talk about. And they want to hook our generation of young people today for a lifetime of drugs. And
okay, that's another thing. Okay, couple of lies here. We'll break these down. One, he's holding these up and he's saying, why have they targeted Texas? They haven't targeted Texas. This is in every state. It's a federal law. The Hemp Act was signed at the federal level. Every state in America, this shit that he is holding up is legal. He is trying to make it seem like he is the defender of Texas, that they are specifically targeting Texas, when the reality is that this motherfucker is looking for some kind of position or platform that he can ride into the governor's mansion. He is concocting this entire thing and lying to you at every stage about it. Why are they targeting Texas? They are not targeting Texas. Texas is just the only fucking redneck state that is going, well, it's legal everywhere, but it shouldn't be. This fucking guy keeps lying.
And you, Charles Perry will talk about. And they want to hook our generation of young people today for a lifetime of drugs. And you need to sell that story.
All right. He is demanding that the media sell the story that a kid, and okay, I'll take a walk with you here, Dan Patrick, that a kid who eats a gummy worm that, I don't know, he found in his he found in the glove box of his uncle's Trans Am. I don't know how he finds it, because obviously they can't walk into these stores. They're like liquor stores, you fucking dick. Anyway, so a kid eats, so here's what he's having us believe. Kid eats a random gummy worm, and now he is trapped in a life of drug addiction for, okay, this is what I mean about, we're going back to this 70s fucking narrative about what marijuana is. I have a question. Does Dan Patrick think that marijuana is an addictive substance? Does he think that, like, people like smoke marijuana and they're like, I gotta have my next hit? Is that how he thinks it works? Because he's wrong. Because he's fucking wrong. Because marijuana is not addictive. Ask anybody whose pot dealer went on vacation for a week. When you don't have pot, you just don't have pot. And you might be irritated. You're like, man, I wish I could get high. There's an episode of that show I really want to watch tonight. But you're not addictive. You're not selling. You're not sucking off strangers in a bus station shitter because you just need a fucking hit of weed. He's misleading again. Again, Texas is being specifically targeted. No, they're not. Again, these things are going to lead your kids into a lifetime of drug addiction.
This is what it's all about. And it's not just kids buying this. Adults buy it, give it to kids. Adults buy it for themselves. We had horrendous testimony of one 22-year-old who bought this. I don't know what product it was. I think she said wedding cake. He stepped in front of a...
All right, hold on. This is important. This is very important. Because here we go. Let's listen to this story. Remember, he's selling that this is deadly. And I am the only one out here protecting the children of Texas from stepping in front of a train. All right, so here's the story he's going to tell. All right, listen to this.
Adults buy it for themselves. We had horrendous testimony of one 22-year-old who bought this. I don't know what product it was. I think she said wedding cake. He stepped in front of a train and got run over.
Okay, so let's break down what he said. We had tremendous testimony. That is a fancy and manipulative way of saying we heard a story. We've had tremendous testimony. No, you heard a fucking story from somebody who said that they ate a gummy and then stepped in front of a fucking train, and you're trying to sell that as the expected result from eating a gummy. And that is 1, wrong, 2, misleading, 3, fuck you, 4, the story never happened. Every media member in Texas for the last 3 days since he said this has been looking into the story, trying to find some story of somebody who ate a gummy worm and then walked in front of a fucking train. It didn't happen. He's just up there lying because that's how comfortable these people are with lying, because they know that you people are going to vote for them no matter what. God forbid they run a lesbian Mexican woman against them. These people will be in office forever.
Killed. This is serious business. This is not Dan's folly. This is not Dan's priority. This is to save an entire generation of being hooked on drugs.
Delusions of fucking grandeur. Dan Patrick, citizens of Texas, is here standing before you, telling you that you may not like this, but he is going to end drug addiction for this generation of Texans. Oh, thank you, Dan. Show me your big, giant freak teeth.
And I need for y'all to take this story seriously.
He also looks way too much like a rat. Okay, if you were going to animate this motherfucker, like if everybody on stage here was like, all right, let's turn him into anthropomorphic things. All right, this guy, I don't know what this guy would be. This guy would be like a kitty cat. Yeah, this guy looks like a little kitty cat. Yeah, be like a little kitty cat. All right, this chick here, what is she? Jesus Christ, she looks like she's got these. She's like a walrus. She's like, rrr. All right, this dude's like a bear. He's a fucking rat. He looks like a rat.
Because does anyone want to try any of this?
Okay, now he's holding it up to the media, who I imagine many of them have these products in their homes. I mean, these are common products here in Texas. And Dan Patrick is like, anybody want to try these? Anybody, you want to die tomorrow? I'm not kidding. Let's just watch this play out. I'm going to sit here and shut up. Let's watch him for the next couple of minutes. Here we go.
On drugs. And I need for y'all to take this story seriously. Because does anyone want to try any of this? Would you buy anything off the shelf that you didn't know what was in it? That could change your whole mental state for the rest of your life? Would you want that? Anybody want that?
Okay, there you go. One, again, Dan, no, I wouldn't. I know I said I'd let it play, but Dan, I would not buy something off the shelf that I didn't know what was in it. So there you go. I wouldn't do that. But that thing that you're holding, that absolutely has a whole list of ingredients and where it was made. It's got everything on the back of it. So what you're saying, it's a little misleading, isn't it? But yes, Dan, I would not buy something off the shelf that I had no idea what was in it. That, however, does not fall into that category. And then he goes on to say something that will addict you for or whatever he said. Let's listen to what he says here again.
That you didn't know what was in it? That could change your whole mental state for the rest of your life? Would you want?
Okay. Eating a THC Delta 9 gummy, all right, is going to change your mental state for the rest of your life. I'm Dan Patrick, and yeah, it's 2025. Can you believe it? I'm still trying to sell this shit to your grandma. Who the fuck does he think he's talking to?
Want that? Anybody want this bag?
Who in Texas? Who the fuck in Texas thinks that eating a gummy or smoking some weed is going to affect your mental state for the rest of your life? Who are these people? Seriously, I want to know the people who heard him say that and went, yeah, that's true. I agree with that. I co-sign that. One puff of the weed in your mental state for the rest of your life. So obviously I'm being absurd, right? Nobody agrees with that. That's stupid. That's a stupid thing. He's obviously either lying or he's incredibly stupid. It's really a pick'em, but either of them doesn't deserve your vote next time.
Okay, you want it?
Well, no, he's handing them out.
Want that? Anybody want this bag?
Yeah,
okay.
I'll take it.
You want
it's
it?
like fucking $90.
I don't think you want it.
Now he's demanding it back. He's like, I don't think you want it. He just realized that maybe it wasn't good that he said it was so bad and then just handed it out to people. This guy's such a clown.
You wouldn't let your children or your grandchildren buy it. And by the way, come September, all this will be illegal anyway.
Look at that little smile. Did you see that little fucked up smile? Did you fucking see that? This is all a game for him. All right.
So I'll be turning September, all this will be illegal anyway.
Here it comes. Look at that. Look at that little fucking... You fucking prick.
So I'll be turning this over to the police before I leave here. You don't know what's in it. No one knows what's in it. This is not a game. In essence, the loopholes for Delta 8 and Delta 10 that were created around the natural hemp of Delta 9, they have come into this state and used our state to be a drug dealer.
Again, no, they haven't. It's legal nationwide. These companies that are based all over the fucking world who now have this legal market in all 50 states, they didn't go, let's just specifically go to Texas because I think Dan Patrick's a prick and this will really irritate him. That's not what happened. This is a nationally legal product. What he's telling you, or what he's afraid to tell you, is that really what we're doing here is we're telling you that something that you can buy everywhere else as a citizen of this country, you cannot get in the state of Texas. Good night, everybody. But he can't phrase it that way, right? So he's got to make it seem like.
And we will not let the state of Texas be in the drug business of making these products available on the shelves.
Meanwhile, he's down here in Austin making this speech. The Sackler family lives like probably within walking distance of where he just said, we will not in the state of Texas allow the drug business.
Perry, let me turn it to you.
Thank you, Lieutenant Governor.
Hold on.
We started this session with this issue.
There was one crazy exchange, though, with a reporter that I wanted to show. Actually, you know what? I think I just have that isolated. So let's do that. Let me show you this exchange with a reporter. This was going around on the Twitters. Let me see. Sorry. I lost my place. That was me. All right, here we go. Let's see. This is his give and take with a reporter. Something went wrong? All right, never mind. Fuck it. We're done. Honestly, I can't talk about Dan Patrick anymore. The guy, oh, Jesus. Here we go one more time, though. I feel like I'm going to ruin my mental state for eternity. Put me in handcuffs, all right? Come on, take me away. I'm a fucking terrible person. Seriously, now would be the time to come in and arrest me because I'm very relaxed, very kind of chill. I'm like, oh, hey, officer, want to have a conversation? That's me, dangerous criminal. Thanks, Dan Patrick. Let me see here. All right, let's talk about the Elon Musk thing. So Elon Musk is no longer officially a part of Doge. He made his exit from the White House today. Trump did a whole big thing. Hey, isn't Elon great? Okay, so there we go. We move on from that. Now this all happens in a very tumultuous time for Elon Musk. As I mentioned earlier in the show, and we kind of touched on this subject, Elon has recently been threatened by the board of directors of Tesla with being fired and removed from the board if he didn't get his ass back there and start trying to fix his company and stop talking about politics, because his politics have really fucking hurt sales of Tesla. So they're angry at him. Then he's got this thing going on here with, Doge, and everybody's criticizing him and they're like, yeah, whatever. So he's taking shit for that. Then, of course, he's got all his baby mamas, like all of them suddenly coming together and being like, you're a bad baby daddy, or whatever they're saying. I don't know, but he's got a lot going on. Then he's got the most important stage of his SpaceX deal, the perfection, and that's the word I'm going to use, perfection of the Heavy Falcon. Okay, the rocket that is going to get us other places. The most important step. He can't fucking get that thing to work. And it doesn't seem like they have any clue as to why it keeps breaking, because it's 3 times in a row now. And in the past with rocketry, you fix the thing that caused the thing that happened the first time, and then you have a couple of more successful launches before another problem reveals itself. But in the case of this SpaceX thing, it is the same problem now going on over a year, and they cannot fix it. So all of this is going on in Elon's world. And the White House decides to give him a nice little send-off. He wasn't fired. He isn't, being told that his job that he did is garbage and everybody's mad and it's caused nothing but political problems for this administration. No, they're not saying any of that. That's what MSNBC is for. But they also framed it like it was a great victory. Like they framed it like, all right, Elon, good job. The job is over. He did it. We brought him in quicker than anyone expected. Everything is fixed. How about this guy? Like it was one of those kinds of deals, which was kind of funny. I'm like, whatever. They're boys. They're friends. Trump's not going to throw him under the bus. He's the richest man in the world. Trump needs his loyalty moving forward. So while all of this is going on in the White House, the New York Times drops an absolute bombshell expose on Elon Musk. And again, it's not just, okay, so I went to journalism school, so maybe I'm more of a sap for this stuff. But the New York fucking Times still means something to me. When they do, now I know you guys who, get your news from what, the Daily Kaz or the Babylon Bee or what, I know you people know best, whatever. But when the New York Times does an expose, I understand that there are certain things that have to be done in order for it to be printed in the New York Times, things that I'm not sure many of these other people like Jack Posebnik or whatever that guy's name is, I'm not sure that they have the ethics, history, and the steps that you must take before publishing. So whatever. New York Times still means something to me. Sorry, Byron. Sorry, Barney. That's kind of thing. Pugs, I like Pugs. We're friends, but he's a fucking liberal fag. Maybe. But I still know the difference between the Krasenstein brothers and the New York Times, is all I'm saying. New York Times did a really big story on Elon Musk's drug use today. It's all about his drug use. Elon Musk is a drug addict. That's not even, that's not left-wing propaganda. That's true. It's been spoken about openly for years and years, and it has nothing to do with the time he took a puff on a joint on the Joe Rogan show. People always like to go back to that. Oh, yeah, no, he's a drug addict. He smoked a joint on Joe Rogan. A joint is nothing. That's not what we're talking about. We're talking about this man's seeming addiction to ketamine and microdosing. Don't act like this is not something he does. We openly discuss about how everybody in Silicon Valley and all of these tech guys, they live their lives with absolutely no accountability. There are no repercussions for the things that they do because they're all worth $10 billion. They spend their entire days tripping balls. And then they go on some CNBC squawk box and say something interesting, and the stock market goes crazy, and everybody's like, they're so influential. I'm like, no, they're just fucking tripping balls. They're just fucking weirdos. They can do drugs and they can behave in ways and they can have consistent life experiences like being balls out tripping all the time in ways that we can't. Because they're billionaires. Because they don't need to pick their kids up from school. Because they don't need, you know what I'm saying? So look, so this is not a right wing, left wing. This is not an anti-MAGA. This is not a you hate Musk thing. This is a very real thing. The dude loves his fucking drugs and nobody tells him he can't do drugs because he's fucking Elon Musk, man. So, okay. So let's just operate over the next couple of minutes as we discuss this story under the understanding that he does drugs. He does drugs a lot. Everybody talks about it. He does. And then he goes, Elon Musk did some weird shit, man. I don't know why he's doing weird shit. What do you mean you don't know why he's doing weird shit? He's high as balls right now. I don't know if you've ever done ketamine. I have. I've done ketamine. It's a wonderful drug. I can see why if I had 150 quadrillion billion dollars, I might want to be under the influence of ketamine all the time. I get it. Ketamine's fun. He does the shrooms too, though. He likes the micro dosing of shrooms, which is not something that I could do with any regularity. Ketamine's different. Ketamine's a little different, but the shrooms thing. All right, so let's go into this story here. Elon's drug use from the New York Times, a big story breaking today on the very same day that the White House throws him a big party and says, thanks for all your good work. Mr. Musk's drug consumption went well beyond occasional use. He told people that he was taking so much ketamine, a powerful anesthetic, that it was affecting his bladder. This is a known side effect of chronic use of ketamine. He took ecstasy and psychedelic mushrooms, and he traveled with a daily medication box. All right, Elon Musk has a daily medication box. We're about to learn what's in his daily medication box. And if you think that's not true, I'm like, dude, apparently these people have daily medication boxes. We went through daily medication box just on the stand a couple of days ago. Diddy's former assistant talked about what Daley had in his med box. He kept his ecstasy there. He kept his pharmaceuticals in there. He kept his cocaine. These people at this level that we regular normal Americans can't comprehend, these people have big, giant, permanent stashes of all the drugs that they need. And it may not even be for them. They might run into a stripper and they need to provide her with some cocaine. But they have these drug stashes and they're not afraid of getting arrested. They're not afraid of Dan Patrick dropping their hemp net. All right, so he took ecstasy and psychedelic mushrooms. He traveled with a daily medication box that held about 20 pills, including ones with the markings of the stimulant Adderall. Okay, Adderall's fine. He's not necessarily the Adderall generation, but okay. Millennials, it's not a drug. Adderall and cocaine ain't the same thing to a millennial. Let's see here. And he traveled with a daily medication box that held about 20 pills, including ones with the markings of the stimulant Adderall, according to a photo of the box and the people who have seen it. It is unclear whether Mr. Musk was taking drugs when he became a fixture at the White House this year and was handed the power to slash the federal bureaucracy, but he has exhibited erratic behavior, insulting cabinet members, gesturing like a Nazi, and garbling his answers in staged interviews. All right, whatever. You want to read more in the New York Times? This is not an attempted humiliation of him. It's not you're just making because drugs, you just hate him, so you're talking about drugs. No, the tie-in here is that he went nuts with the federal fucking Doge program. And maybe we'd like to know if he was fucking tripping balls when he decided that all of these people needed to lose their job at Housing and Urban Development or wherever. That's all. That's what this is. That's real journalism. This is a man who was an unelected individual, who is the world's wealthiest man, who was given unfettered access to essentially everything. How the sausage is made. And in this case, the sausage being Americanism. He was given unfettered access to all of that. And yeah, I think it's important now if we find out whether or not he was tripping balls. There you go. Elon's drug use. I told you I was salty today. All right, we got a dead guy. We got a dead asshole. Sorry, dead assholes die all the time, people. Bernie Kerik. Bernie Kerik was fucking Rudy Giuliani's Smithers. All right, that's the best way to put it to you. Okay, Bernie Kerik rose to incredibly high positions. Bernie Kerik was like a big national figure for a period of time in this country until he went to jail. Yeah, that's right. He's convicted of. He's a criminal. He's a fucking dirtbag, which is why we're going to talk about Bernie Kerik, who died at 69. I think he's 69 years old, died yesterday. So here's the thing about Bernie Kerik. So Bernie Kerik is an asshole. I will say he's a fucking piece of shit. Why is he an asshole? Here's why he's an asshole. Okay, so he's a criminal, all right? He's a con man. He is, I mentioned this before, come from a police family, okay? He's a corrupt policeman. He's a crooked cop who, because he was crooked and because he was crooked with the right people, he was able to do things in his police career that had never been done before. Let me give you an example. He is the only person in the history of major American policing to rise to the level of superintendent who dropped out of high school. He's a high school dropout who became the superintendent of the New York City Police Department. And we're not talking about he was named superintendent in 1935. He was named superintendent as a high school dropout in 2001. So you're like, well, Pugs, maybe he earned it. No, he didn't. Here's what he did. He was a juvenile delinquent who was given the choice of going into the military or going to jail. So he went into the military. We're talking about Bernie Carrick, who died yesterday. So he went into the military and he became a cop. He became a military cop. That's what he did. Got in trouble in the military while he was there for taking bribes. So right from the get-go, he was bucked down one position for taking bribes as a military cop in Korea. Oh, also, here's a nice story. This is, again, Pugs thinks Bernie Carrick's an asshole. Oh, yeah, let's get to some of the details. Let's decide whether or not this is a good human being or a piece of shit. Okay, here you go. Carrick's first child, a girl, was born in October of 1975 when he was serving in South Korea as a military policeman. In February of 1976, Carrick completed his tour of duty in South Korea and abandoned his daughter and her mother. Her mother eventually immigrated to the United States and married an American. She learned of Carrick's life decades later when she saw him on television and then told their daughter of his location. This son of a bitch knocked a woman up in Korea, had a baby, had a daughter on this planet, and then just left her for like 40 years. Never, fuck them. That's what I mean when I say he's an asshole. It's the same reason, look, I'm consistent. It's the same reason that I tell you Larry King was an asshole. Larry King knocked a chick up. Larry King. Oh, he's an American icon. Larry King knocked a chick up. She lived like a block away from him for like 40 years. He never met the kid. Never met him, never wanted to, never had anything to do with the kid. And here's what makes it even weirder. The kid who lived a block away was a well-known football star at the local high school who got local Miami attention. And the kid's name was Larry King Jr. And Larry King never fucking made an attempt to have this kid be a part of his life in any way, shape, or form until like many years later. They did like 60 years later or something. There was some reconciliation. So Larry King's a piece of shit. So Bernie Carrick's a piece of shit. Bernie Carrick left a daughter. Left your daughter. That's not exactly the Marine Corps, huh? No man left behind. Yeah, but what about daughters? What about half-breed daughters that we leave there outside Seoul? Piece of shit. All right, so he does that. He comes back to America. Now let's go back to the story of Bernie Carrick and how he became the only superintendent in American history to be a high school dropout with no college. All right, so he comes back to America. He starts working for some shady people and he gets involved. He gets placed. You ever seen the Sylvester Stallone movie Copland? You ever seen that movie about the town just outside New York City where all the cops lived, all the New York City cops, the important New York City cops, they all live in this town. And Sylvester Stallone is the sheriff of this town. So he's basically the sheriff of a town of a whole bunch of crooked cops. Anyway, that's kind of how Bernie Carrick got into policing. He was a cop in one of those towns. And through that connection, he met a young attorney, assistant United States attorney named Rudy Giuliani, who Carrick started doing work for. Carrick would become Rudy Giuliani's cleaner. Have you ever seen the show Ray Donovan? Have you ever seen Pulp Fiction? Harvey Keitel's character, Mr. Wolf? That's what a cleaner is. So Bernie Carrick became Rudy Giuliani's cleaner, but technically he was his chauffeur and bodyguard, okay? Rudy Giuliani becomes mayor, okay? He suddenly becomes mayor, and he's still got this driver and bodyguard named Bernie Carrick. So Rudy gives him this really big job that has never been given to anyone before who was a high school dropout with no college education. But whatever, he's now running the Department of Corrections under Rudy Giuliani. That leads to an opening with the commissioner's office. And then just like that, Bernie Kerik is suddenly the commissioner of the nation's largest police force. The only commissioner in history to not have any kind of criminal justice college, to not have any fucking kind of a high school diploma. Oh, excuse me, he got his GED. And then he did eventually go and he did get some college, college at some small college there. But he was Giuliani's boy. Giuliani's rise coincided with his rise. And he was given all kinds. This is corruption, people. This is somebody being given special treatment because of the shit that he's willing to do for Rudy Giuliani that nobody's talking about. That's what he was, and that's how he became the commissioner of this, or superintendent of the New York City Police Department. Now, timing being everything, this dude was only superintendent for a year. Why? Because he couldn't do the job, because he wasn't qualified for the job, because he was never intended to be the long-term commissioner of police. But the one year, I think it was 1 year, it's actually less than 1 year, but the 1 year that Bernie Kerik was commissioner of the New York City Police Department happened on 2001. So yes, so on September 11th, when the entire country was like, would you look at the mayor of New York? He's America's mayor. He's just, and who's that guy with him? The superintendent of the police. Isn't he great? Isn't he? What's his name? Bernie Kerik. Isn't he great? So that's how we fucking came to love Bernie Kerik. You know who never came to love Bernie Kerik? His little Chinese daughter that he left for fucking dead. She never came to love Bernie Kerik. Anyway, he's dead now, so fuck that guy. All right, let's see here. Oh, he also went to prison. We mentioned that, right? Oh, here's the other thing. Oh, that's right. So I got a couple of examples of why Bernie Kerik's an asshole. So we got the daughter thing. We got the well-known fixer for Giuliani, and Giuliani paid him back by giving him this career that he had no fucking business doing. All right, so what's the other thing that means he's an asshole? Here you go. Now, I know if you watch Fox News, you think this is some kind of fucking hearsay because Bernie Kerik's a hero on Fox News. Here's another interesting thing that probably wasn't reported on Fox News. You know who his best friend was? You know who his best friend? Bernie Kerik's best friend in the whole world. Bernie Kerik's best man at his third wedding. That's right. Another reason he's an asshole. He's married 4 fucking times, this guy, Bernie Kerik. He's a dick. You know who his best friend was? You know who his best man was at his third wedding? I don't know who it is either. Larry Ray. That's it. Larry Ray. All right, now who's that? You're like, Pugs, who's Larry Ray? Bernie Kerik's best friend and best man at his third wedding. Larry Ray was the dude. I think it was on Hulu. There was this like true crime series about a dude. You guys remember this? I talked about it. There was a dude who was like a middle-aged man who just moved into Sarah Lawrence College, which is like a liberal women's college. And he started a sex cult. We talked about this, I think, back when James and I were doing it. Anyway, that's Larry Ray, and that's Bernie Kerik's best man. Holy fuck. Yeah, Bernie Kerik's a piece of shit. He's a terrible person. But, he was on Fox News, and Judge Jean treated him like he was an important American. So you're all like, I'm getting a Bernie Kerik tattoo. All right. Here, Kerik was close friends with Larry Ray, who was later accused of running a sex cult at Sarah Lawrence College. Ray donated almost $10,000 to help pay for Kerik's November 1988 wedding and reception. Ray was also the best man at Kerik's third wedding. Look at that. Shortly after, Kerik helped Ray. Okay, this is Ray, Larry Ray. They made a Hulu special about him. He was a sex cult guy who raped a bunch of little girls, teen girls, college girls. I don't want to misrepresent. A bunch of college girls. Shortly after, Kerik helped Ray obtain a job as security director with a construction company run by mob boss Frank DiTomasino. It just gets worse. It just gets fucking worse for Bernie Kerik. But again, Judge Jean Pirro told you he's a great American. So forget about the fact that he was married 4 times, went to prison, left a little kid all alone, wondering who her daddy was in South Korea, was best friends with a dude who started a sex cult where he raped chicks at Sarah Lawrence College, and has connections with crime bosses. Yeah. The dude who was at one point the superintendent of New York City Police could pick up the phone, call a crime boss, and get his buddy Larry Ray a job running security for one of his front businesses. That's who Bernie Carrick is. So rotten hell, you piece of shit. I'm no fool. All right. Oh, do I want to do this next thing? Oh, God, you guys. We're going to do it on Monday. All right. We got to end this show. We've been doing this. Show's been going way too long. All right. Let's see here. I want to talk about this, but I'm going to give you the weekend to check this out because I'll join you too. I haven't checked this out yet, but I will because I am way intrigued. Do you guys know who Nathan Fielder is? Nathan Fielder is a comedian, and he's an incredible comedian. He's when I say incredible, okay, so I guess I'm maybe using that wrong. He is a truly unique, one of a kind humorist. Because I guess he does stand-up comedy, but it's here's the easiest way for me to explain who Nathan Fielder is as a comic worker, as a comic creator in 2025. He's Andy Kaufman. Nathan Fielder is the closest thing. He is the next step. He is to what if you remember what a disruptive force in comedy, the expected comedy, the disruptive force of Andy Kaufman, that's who Nathan Fielder is probably most like, while at the same time being a completely unique individual. I don't even know if he's funny. I'm not sure. I have seen a whole bunch of Nathan Fielder shit. I've giggled and I've chuckled at the absurdity. I have been wowed by the audacity of his comedic premises. But I'm not sure. I don't know if he's funny. I know, but I know I will watch whatever he does. Anyway, he's got the second season of a new show called The Rehearsal. The Rehearsal is some very high concept comedy idea. He did a season 1 last year. I checked out a couple of episodes. It didn't grab me. A little too slow, I get it. I'm like, while watching the first season, I was like, wow, this is really impressive, but I just don't know if I love it. It was just like one of those things. I'm like, this is really, wow. They are really putting a lot of thought into this. I just don't know if I'm hooked, Okay. So that was my vibe on season 1. So, but apparently a lot of people were like, it's the most brilliant show ever on TV. What people are doing that. So anyway, season 2 is now here. And I understand that season 2 whereas season 1, each episode was a different thing. I guess this new season, it's a full season of episodes about one subject. So The Rehearsal this year, as I understand it, and this is why I'm saying we won't talk about the story too much, but just to let you know, over the weekend, maybe we can check out a couple of episodes of this, or maybe we can watch an episode, because it's certainly something that a lot of people are talking about right now. So this season of The Rehearsal deals with airline safety. And remember, Nathan Fielder is a comedian who I've already described to you, if you're unfamiliar with him, as being probably closest in league to someone like Andy Kaufman. So you're wondering, wait, airline safety? It's like a full season of shows about airline safety by a guy that Pugs says is like Andy Kaufman. It doesn't make any sense. I know, none of it does. It's all so weird and high concept. Airline safety right now is a huge thing. Whether we're talking about the problems in Newark, or we're talking about air traffic systems all across this country, and air traffic controllers all across this country being understaffed. We're talking about the situation in Dulles, planes falling out, right? Air safety this month right now is a very big thing. So it is interesting that Nathan Fielder was working on this thing. Obviously this looks like something that he started working on the day he wrapped season 1, because there's a lot of work that went into this. So he's been working on this for a while. And it just so happens that it's being released by HBO at a time when airline safety is on everybody's mind. So let me just tell you something that you might find absolutely unbelievable. So Nathan Fielder, in order to do an entire series on airline safety, he decided that he needed to understand airlines. He needed to understand what a pilot goes through. He needed to really know. So do you know what this comedian did? Nathan Fielder went through all the steps and became a fully certified commercial 737 pilot for this season. He is in this season. He is flying jumbo jets filled with people. It's just incredible. Anyway, the reason that this is happening now is because he's going around promoting the show, but also talking about how, you know, I know you people think I'm a comedian, but in all seriousness, there is a problem with the way pilots communicate inside the cockpit. So this is like his big thing now. This is what he feels he has discovered through this one season. And it also, you know, it's in lockstep with the vibe of the day, which is we're all concerned about planes falling out of the sky. So one of the things that he says, it was very interesting, and I won't go into all of it, but one of the things that he suggests is that, you know, there is a system in these cockpits where the pilot and the co-pilot, they're not communicating everything that they need to be communicating to each other. They believe that this might be a reason for what happened in Dulles when the plane collided with the Black Hawk helicopter, that they are not so why aren't they communicating? Why aren't they comfortable saying the smallest things, or maybe repeating themselves just to make sure the other person has heard what they're saying? Why don't they feel comfortable? Because as he explains, these pilots don't know each other. Did you know that? Did you know that when you get on the plane and you look in the cockpit and you see two pilots, you know that most of the times these pilots don't even know each other, that they are meeting each other oftentimes for the very first time. Pilots don't fly as a team. There are thousands and thousands of flights all over and thousands of pilots, and the airlines move these pilots around, and this guy's here, this guy's there. You know, a plane flies in, one pilot gets out, another pilot gets in. It's the same co-pilot. And because of this, and because they all work for the same company, he then suggests that, you know, when you work in a company, there is a pecking order. Oh, you're the new guy? Oh, you're the new guy. You've only been there 6 months. Oh, this guy's a captain. He's been on the job for 15 years. And you might not want to tell him what he already knows. You know, ego and that kind of thing get involved. And he suggests, again, we're talking about a comedian. He suggests very logically that there are actual human problems happening in these cockpits that are leading to a lot of problems. And they almost all, as I say about everything that is a shortcoming to any of us, they almost all come down to ego. They almost all come down to, I already told him. I'm not going to tell him. He either sees it or he doesn't see it. You know, like that kind of shit. Anyway, it's just very interesting. So let me show you Nathan Fielder. This is pretty funny. Is this from his? Yes. So he was on with Seth Meyers. Okay. So this is how he. Hold on. Excuse me. Hold on. Yep. Yeah. Here we go. What did I say? Did I say Seth Meyers? This is actually Jimmy Kimmel. All right. So here's Nathan Fielder explaining a little bit about what this season of The Rehearsal is. It's getting good reviews, and it's making a lot of news outside of TV columns and stuff.
Some comedians do jokes about airplanes. Our next guest devoted hundreds of hours to learning to fly one, a big one, a 737 on the second season of his very strange and wonderful show, The Rehearsal. All episodes of The Rehearsal are streaming on Max. Please welcome Captain Nathan Fielder.
might have heard I'm going through a little upgrade with my tats. So when
What the
Verizon
hell
announced
is
that everyone
this?
gets a free phone on it.
Are you kidding me? Pop-ups during clips that I'm showing? That is not a thing that happens. But anyway, Pete Davidson. He's like Jello. We always got room for Pete Davidson, don't we? All right, let's get back to it. Here we go. Captain Nathan Fielder.
Did you fly yourself here?
No, I live in Los Angeles.
Oh, okay, all right. So that wouldn't make sense at all.
Makes sense. But, makes sense. You'd start with a joke on a comedy show, so yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you for having me, Jimmy.
It's great to have you here.
It's always great to be back in the seat.
Yeah, sure, yeah. There's like a couple of pilots flying together, you know?
Well, one.
Yeah, one.
Well, one, Jimmy. I'm the only real pilot.
You know, people, because I know you a little bit, people ask me, you know, is he serious? Is this a joke? Is this real? Is this a joke? And I feel like, and you...
Like that clip.
Like
that's
that
me.
clip.
I'm really flying that plane. It looks weird, right? But that's real. We had another plane beside it.
I'm glad you said that because my answer is always both of those things. It's funny. It's also real. You are a pilot. You're not just wearing a pilot's uniform.
Yes, I am. I trained, you know, this whole season of the rehearsal is about pilots and aviation. And so, you know, to do a good job at really this and understanding pilots, I decided early on, like, the best way to understand them is to become one myself. So I trained for almost 2.5 years and worked my way up through private pilot instrument commercial, and I got a 737 type rating. So I am a licensed 737 pilot.
And when you get that...
I would like to go on record right now as saying that I specifically said that he's the closest thing I can compare him to is Andy Kaufman. And I'm glad I said that because, guys, I don't know if he's telling the truth. He might be lying. You can go on a talk show and you can dress like a pilot if you're a comedian and you can say whatever with a straight face and people might believe you. Andy Kaufman did that. So I don't know. Here's what I do know. He's also going around to like real news shows and stuff. Like he was on CNN and he was being co-interviewed with the director of aviation safety, a former government official, and this guy was like basically saying that everything he was saying was true and that he is a pilot. So I don't know, man. I have no idea if this is a joke or not, which is why it's just genius comedy. It's art. It is causing me to react in a way that other things that don't affect me at all wouldn't make me react. I am being forced to react because I don't honestly know if he's telling the truth or not.
License, do they give you the uniform? Is that where it's issued?
Well, if you work for an airline, they'll give you a uniform. But since I don't work for an airline, we had to order it from mypilotstore.com.
Okay.
But, I mean, this is, you know, it's a little weird for me because, you know, I am a comedian.
It's weird for you. Yes, you are.
It's weird for you, too.
Yeah, sure.
Well, I want to try to put you at ease, so if there's anything I can do here to make you feel more comfortable.
See, and I like that you're doing that. I love your hypothesis.
Well, let me just say, like, it is like I am a comedian, before I started doing this too, and so when I feel a little insecure sometimes because I see myself sort of as like a clown and just like a joke, you know, but when I put on the uniform, I'm sort of reminded that I can be serious and I can do serious things because I don't look silly when I wear this.
I don't know if he's serious or not. Anyway, there you go. Nathan Fielder. He's brilliant. He's doing some things, man. Like I said, I don't know if what he's doing is good. I don't even know if it's particularly funny, but I know he's doing some things. He's doing some things. The jury is still out on what those things are. Same way I felt about Andy Kaufman. So, I don't know what he's doing, but I know that I can't stop watching it. All right, guys, that's going to be it. I want y'all to have a good and safe and fun weekend. I want you to like, follow, and subscribe. I want you to say a big thank you to our executive producers, the lovely Kim and the lovely Tracy. Monday starts Pledge Week. That's right. So if you want to get a jump on that, drop a little something in the Venmo or the Cash App. We'll have the number and the days and all that stuff on Monday. Pledge Week May 20. It'll be June on Monday, but it'll be the Pledge Week for May. Whatever. Anyway, we'll do that on Monday. Diddy or didn't he? That's right. As soon as I finish here, now I got to put together the second half of Diddy or Didn't He. I'll be recording that. That is my nightly breakdown of all of the events happening inside the courtroom there, the trial of Sean Diddy Combs. Every night I do a breakdown. RadioMisfits.com. You can watch it. You can watch the video for that. If you like the video, you can go to the Radio Misfits channel on YouTube or Radio Misfits on Facebook, or you can just listen to the podcast, RadioMisfits.com, or wherever you get your podcast. It's Diddy or Didn't He with me, Pugs Moran. Got my boy this weekend. Here's what I'm looking most forward to this week. So my son and I were watching a show together. We have, this is the first time ever. I mean, there was another time when we both found a show, or, we were watching a show together. But if we're being honest, it was a show that he wanted to watch, and I was just going along with it. I'm like, yeah, I'll watch another episode of that. But it's very rare that there is a show that both he and I are like, oh, this is a good show. It's almost always me going, you need to watch a couple episodes of Seinfeld with me. That's usually what it is. So we've discovered a show. We've been watching this show. I've been telling you people about this show. I've been telling you. I've been mentioning it every time I think about it. And, whatever. You're either watching it or you're not. But my son and I are watching this show. And because we're watching it together, and we're only together every other weekend for the viewing parties, if you will, I have to skip. And so tonight, my boy and I, and he's already texted me. I'll read the text. Okay. Here's the text that he sent. Mobland tonight? Big question mark. Yeah, Mobland tonight. Mobland. I don't know if you guys watch Mobland. It is so fucking good. You know what? We'll watch a trailer for it again. Just in case you think I'm kidding about this show. This is the best show on TV. This is a show. Now, I watch a lot of shows. I don't say that about a lot of shows. When I really like something, you know that I really like it. This is an incredible show. This show, I don't know how it has flown under the radar, and I don't know how more people aren't talking about this show. It's on Paramount Plus. It's called Mobland. It is the story of gangsters in London, two rival gangster families. Like, imagine the 5 families of New York. These 2 gangster families that run London. They're basically in an all-out war over heroin. The fire. We're dealing the fire. That's what they call it. So that's the story. That's the backdrop. But the cast, and it's Guy Ritchie. Do you like Guy Ritchie? Guy fucking Ritchie is making a TV show about British gangsters. And you're like, man, I don't think so, Pugs. I don't know. Guy Ritchie making a film about British gangsters. Stars Pierce Brosnan. It stars James Bond as old Harrington. He's the leader. He's the godfather. He's the aging godfather of the gigantic, powerful family. Fucking James Bond. You know who he's married to? Helen Mirren. Yeah, Helen Mirren is the Dark Queen. That's what she's known as. She's like been his right hand. She is actually the real power behind the throne, and she's the scary one. She's a crazy fucking grandma bitch. Anyway, it's all brought together by the true star of the show, who is their fixer, the fixer for the family. He is like the top street boss. He runs all of the crime, and that is the greatest actor working today. I'm just go ahead and say it. Sir. He's not a sir yet, but he will be. Sir Tom Hardy. Sir Tom Hardy. Book it. Anyway, it's called Mobland. My son and I were very excited. There's only 2 episodes. I think there's only 2 episodes left before the first season is over. So you've got a whole weekend if you want to catch up. Mobland, it's on Paramount Plus. I access it through my Prime, Amazon. I don't know how it all works. Whatever. If you have access to Tulsa King or if you get to watch, what was the Landman? Okay, then you can watch this. You can watch Mobland. Here you go. Check this out. I'm telling you, it is the best show of the year, and season 1 is wrapping up this weekend.
Name's Conrad Harrigan, family man. And if you cross my family, well, you'd better pray.
Please allow me to introduce myself.
We shake the right hands, break the wrong ones.
I think we have a situation developing.
We don't ask, we take. And when someone forgets their place, I've got a man for that.
Problem solved.
Pleased to meet you.
My wife's the brains behind the charm. She holds me together. That makes her the most dangerous of all.
The second you lose trust in me is the second this family turns to dust.
Hope you get my
So, are you with us or are you against us?
I was puzzling you is the nature of my game.
Because power is a hungry thing. And there's always a rat bastard looking to take what's mine.
What is this, the Taliban?
Oh, no. When Conrad gets going, I mean, like, really going, you're gonna wish you was.
Mobland, new series streaming March 30th.
Telling you. It's the best show of the year. It's the best show of the year. What else has been really good this year? 10,000 Blows has been really good. That was the movie, the series. I think that was another Paramount one. 10,000 Blows show of the year so far, right? Yeah. Mobland, better. Mobland's better. Say Nothing, which was the story of the Troubles and all of that. That was the show of last year. That one last year. So far this year we got Mobland. That's it, Mobland. It's the best show on TV. And this weekend, my boy and I will be popping the popcorn and getting caught up on a couple of episodes of that. I hope you guys have great plans for the weekend as well. Check out Diddy or Didn't He, RadioMisfits.com. Tip the show if you can. If you can't, that's okay, because I'm going to shake the can hard next week. I love you all. Have a great weekend. We'll see you back here on Monday. I'm Pugs Moran. These are the Kelly Moore Memorial Studios, and this is The Rant on RadioMisfits.com.